Here we go. Happy Tuesday. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report, and we're live right here on Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, we appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day on this June 18th, 2024, and obviously plenty to get into on the 49ers Report rundown, especially on the Brandon Aiyuk front. So here's what's coming up. Hang out with us. Don't go anywhere because there's a lot to touch on. We're going to get to the latest Brandon Aiyuk trade rumors. When could an extension get done? Looking at this regime's history of giving contract extensions to their homegrown players if the Niners want to move forward with Brandon Aiyuk and give him a long-term deal. We're also going to take a look at some of the top teams who could be interested in an Aiyuk trade. We are going to do our mean tweet segment. Last week, we got past $300 in Super Chat, so I made a deal with all of the real ones. I said if we get to that number, I'm going to go back and take a look at the funniest, most vicious tweets and comments and social media posts that people have sent me, and then we'll also do a Q&A. Be a part of our mailbag. I love hearing from the faithful. Couple of ways for you to get involved. Use the hashtag 49ers. Or just send in a super chat. Today's poll question is this, and this is also the poll question in the chat right now, with 78% of the people saying sign and pay. But let's hear from you in the comment section. What should the Niners do with Brandon Aiyuk? Sign and pay or trade him? Let me know down in the comment section. We'll start to give you some shout outs. As I mentioned, I'm Chase Sr., producer Jake Chipper on the ones and twos. We have 4 segments coming up, and we'll get to those segments coming up here in just a few moments. Ernesto saying sign and pay. Destoic, just play my dude. Rogelio, trade him for a first and a second. Silly Willie said sign. Ken Dowsland, pay the man. Wet Noodle, pay him already. Trace Lucero, we need to pay Aiyuk. Lonnie Warren said pay. I know Mac Daddy, the legend, is in the chat saying they're not going to trade Brandon Aiyuk, and I hope they are right because I don't think that you trade away and get rid of special. Gregory Stevens, offer him $35 million per year. I would not go that high. If Aiyuk was asking for 35, I'd say the NFL draft is loaded with really good wide receivers year in, year out. I'm just going to try to find his replacement, and maybe you already have his replacement in Ricky Pearsall. Barry Z, they got to pay the man. Anthony Stewart, he earned the bag. Big T saying sign. Some Niners news that I do want to pass along is the NFL today handed out their training camp dates, and we now know when the 49ers will get training camp underway. Rookies will report to the SAP Performance Center on July 16th. Veterans will then report a week later on July 23rd. So that July 23rd date is the one to monitor, the one to think about, the one to remember. Because that's the date to see if an Aiyuk contract extension gets done. If not, then we're officially in holdout mode if Aiyuk does not report. As for the Niners preseason schedule, 3 games nowadays. Preseason opener August 10th. Niners in Nashville against the Tennessee Titans. Kickoff set for 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock on the West Coast. Preseason game number 2, August 18th. Saints at Niners. They'll do some joint practices in California in the lead up to that game. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. And then the preseason finale, as it always is, Niners at Raiders, 10 p.m. Eastern. 7 p.m. Pacific. So a late game there for the preseason finale. We're probably going to see a lot of Brandon Allen and Tanner Mordecai, and we will be live for all of these games as part of our watch party schedule. So make sure you subscribe and join us as we do look ahead. Our Super Chat menu for today's show. If you want to donate to the show, it goes a long way in supporting everything that we do. It's the middle to end of June, and we're still giving you some great content. So if you want to say thank you, also if you just want to have some fun, Super Chat menu right here. And we're doing our mean tweet segment for segment number 4 because you send in a lot of Super Chats, and we put in the extra work to give you some laughs. So all Super Chats get a shout out. $10 for a beer cheers. $20, I'll drop down, do 20 push-ups because we like to stay fit. $50 for a beer bong, and $100 for a beer boot. If we get 100 total, I will do a beer boot as well. As part of our mailbag, get on the show, use the hashtag 49ers or send in a super chat. You can start getting those questions in right now. And if you're ready to talk some Niners, we have nearly 200 people watching, only 32 likes.
Come on.
So make sure you hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, and with that, I welcome in my right-hand man, my cohort, the homie Jake Chipper. Looking ahead to the Mean Tweet segment.
Oh, yeah.
You think we have some good stuff?
We got some great stuff prepared coming up for you guys later. I want to know, by the way, who was here last week?
Yeah.
That helped us get to 300. If you were in the stream last week when we got to 300 to do the Mean Tweets, say me. I want to know who was hanging out with us and who's here looking forward to it, because I'm telling you right now, I was putting it together with Chase, and I was laughing just putting it together, man. It's great stuff.
Good to see BK from the Bay here once again. Murdoch, North Carolina, who's a big Niner fan from North Carolina, he actually sent us the super chat to get over $300 to do the Mean Tweet segment. So he was here, and the me's are starting to come in. Big T, Murdoch, Jermaine, Ken Dowslin, Ernesto, Big T again. Archie Johnson, pertaining to Ayuk, said too much money to waste for nothing. Nick Graham was also here, so I'm really excited to get into today's show. So many content creators out there who cover the Niners and do a great job, but anytime you decide to hang out with us, we're certainly grateful. So continue to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. We have 49 likes. It's the road to 100 likes, and we're in pursuit of that right now. To start the show, segment number 1, when could a Brandon Ayuk contract extension get done? We're going to do some revisionist history under this regime, and that's how we're going to start off the show. So continue to like the video. 4 segments coming your way, and it all starts right now, live on the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Let's get it. Welcome into the show. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. No matter where you are, how you're tuned in, I appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. And coming up, we're going to play some revisionist history. Talks with Brandon Ayuk, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, have stalled. Brandon Ayuk even said on TikTok that the Niners don't want me any longer, but there's still a chance that a deal could get done. And when you look at this current regime, led by Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, when have they gotten these contract extensions done with some of their homegrown players? That's what we're going to take a look at on today's show to look ahead for when an Ayuk deal could be completed. And this will give us a look and a timeline for when Ayuk and the Niners could finally come to an agreement, end all of this drama, sign that contract extension to have the second team All-Pro from 2023 with this team for the foreseeable future. Let's start off with where things stand with Ayuk currently. As I noted, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, he said this on Sunday, talks have stalled between Ayuk's camp and San Francisco. Keep in mind that general manager John Lynch and Ayuk's agent are very close. Fowler also said there isn't a lot of optimism toward getting a deal done. So that was on Sunday. Then on Monday, more drama because Ayuk released a TikTok by design. He had his girlfriend record the entire video. He uploaded it to his own TikTok. It's not like this is something that went viral from somebody else who recorded something. Ayuk recorded this by design, and he's on FaceTime with Washington Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner from LSU last year, who Ayuk played with at Arizona State back a few years ago. And Ayuk is on camera saying, quote, "They don't want me back, I swear." So sides here, not on the same page, going into training camp at the end of July, and Niners training camp will officially get underway with rookies reporting on July 16th and veterans reporting on July 23rd. From Ayuk's standpoint, and from the Niners' standpoint, it all comes to the leverage game. You have Ayuk trying to get paid. The Niners have said, we want Ayuk to be with this organization for a long time, but at a certain price. And from Ayuk's standpoint, he's looking at Justin Jefferson from the Minnesota Vikings getting $35 million per year. Highest average annual value for a non-quarterback in the history of football and the most guaranteed money in the history of football for a non-quarterback. So Ayuk probably looks at that and says, I haven't put up the numbers that Justin Jefferson has. I might not be the player that Justin Jefferson is. That's fine. I'll take $5 million less. Jefferson is the Vikings number one. I'm the Niners number one. And I'm coming off an all-pro season. So give me $30 million. From the Niners angle, John Lynch, Parag, they're probably looking at $30 million saying, that's way too much. We don't have that type of money to give away, especially with Brock Purdy set to get paid next offseason. And the Niners have some leverage here, right? Because they could say to Ayuk, you don't want to take our offer of $26 million? We'll increase it to 28. You want to budge from 30? If not, you know what, Brandon? You can play on the fifth-year option for $14+ million. And we also have the flexibility to franchise tag you after the 2024 season. So that once again, Ayuk is still on this team. So both sides here have a little bit of leverage. The big question, will either side compromise? And for the Niners, will they go up for Ayuk? And from Ayuk's camp, is he willing to take less? There's a lot of similarities here between the Ayuk contract situation and the Deebo Samuel contract situation. Deebo Samuel requested a trade. He said publicly in a way that the Niners didn't want him anymore. He used social media to drive fan reaction and outrage to try to put pressure on the Niners. What did Brandon Ayuk do this week? He releases the TikTok video. It stirs up a lot of controversy. Fans are in shambles. They're thinking that maybe Ayuk is gone, that the Niners don't want Brandon Ayuk, and Ayuk's using the same type of tactics that Deebo Samuel utilized 2 off seasons ago. Plenty more to get to here on the show, but make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have covered every single aspect of this Brandon Ayuk story, and we cover all things Niners every single day. That's a big reason why we're approaching 134,000 subscribers, so hit that sub button and lock us in. Now, at the start of the show, I had said this current regime of John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have a history of when they have paid the players that they have drafted, groomed, and developed. What is that timeline? Because we're in the 4th straight offseason in which this is taking place. And really it started back in 2020 when George Kittle signed his deal on August 13th. He did still partake in training camp. So there was not a holdout there, but there was some drama before he put pen to paper. Kittle's agent called the Niners' first offer after that first Super Bowl loss to Kansas City a Valentine's Day massacre. And then Kittle, while he reported the training camp without a deal. He did participate in all team activities, and eventually the Niners, Kittle, they come to an agreement on a record-breaking 5-year, $75 million deal with $40 million in guaranteed money. Next offseason, 2021, Fred Warner signed his deal earlier than George Kittle on July 21st. This was an interesting timeline because it was about a week before training camp got underway. And among all of the contract extensions that we're talking about on today's show, Fred Warner's involved the least drama, and it was the least contentious contract negotiation. The deal signed a week before training camp. It ended up being a 5-year deal worth $95 million, $40.5 million in guaranteed money. And just like Kittle's deal was record-breaking, the highest paid tight end at the time in the history of the NFL, that made Fred Warner the highest paid off-ball linebacker in the National Football League before Darius Shaq Leonard overtook him a couple of weeks later. This is another question that I want to pose to the audience here. And we're talking about some Niners legends on the show. Talked about Ayuk, George Kittle, Fred Warner. Still going to talk about Deebo Samuel and Nick Bosa. So who is your favorite current player on this Niners roster? Drop a name for me down below in the comment section right now. And this is obviously going to have and yield a bunch of different answers. Before we get to Deebo, Bosa, and Ayuk, Today's show is sponsored by Chubbies. You can get 20% off your purchase at chubbyshorts.com/chat. That's 20% off your purchase at chubbyshorts.com/chat. Summer is here. If you're looking to add to your wardrobe, you can do it with Chubbies. Swimsuits, shorts, shirts, they really have anything that you need to look good and feel good. Skies out, thighs out, summer is here, and our friends at Chubbies are bringing the good vibrations. Chubbies is a lifestyle apparel brand that makes every moment feel like a vacation. They say fashion is an expression of one's character. Look at this stud on your screen. So why not let the world know you're down for a good time? Chubbies offers a variety of high-quality men's apparel from super stretchy shorts and swim trunks and 3 short inseam lengths to pants, polos, and button-down shirts for when you need to hit up your favorite weekend brunch spot, hang out by the pool, or get some drinks with some people who you care about. Embrace the spirit of endless summer with Chubbies, the ultimate destination for bold, vibrant, and outrageously comfortable clothing for a limited time only. Chubbies is giving our listeners 20% off your order with our exclusive code. Use the code CHAT at chubbyshorts.com/chat. We'll put that link down below in the comment section, in the show notes, and attached to the pinned comment of today's video. 20% off Chubbies. Hop on that deal right now. The next contract extension we want to talk about was the following offseason after Fred Warner's deal. That was in 2022 with Deebo Samuel when he signed his contract on July 31st. And this is going to be my 4th season covering the Niners, so I remember talking about the Fred Warner deal and then the Deebo Samuel deal. The offseason for Deebo and the contract negotiations were windy. They were full of drama, and it's very similar and mirroring what we're talking about now in the modern day with Brandon Ayuk. Now, Deebo reported the training camp, but this was after he requested a trade. He was pretty much a hold-in. He was at training camp, but not really fully partaking in some of the practices, and it was that long, windy contract negotiation where there were some doubts that it wasn't going to get done. With Deebo coming off that first-team All-Pro season, he ended up signing a 3-year contract extension worth up to $73.5 million with $58.1 million in guaranteed cash, and that made him a top 10 highest paid wide receiver at the time. And then in 2023, this one took the longest. There's no doubt about that. Bosa finally signed on September 6th, right before the season opener against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bosa sat out all of the team's workouts, voluntary and mandatory, during the offseason, and he struck a deal on the Wednesday before the regular season opener on Sunday. And at that time, you're thinking, and we talked about this on the show, are the Niners going to be without Bosa going into the regular season? I had always predicted that a deal was going to get done, but the closer that we got to week 1, the hairier that it got. And this was different because of all of the money in play. Ended up being the richest contract for a non-quarterback in the history of football. 5 years, $170 million, $122.5 million in guaranteed money. That came out to $34 million per year. Most guaranteed money, highest average annual value for a non-QB, and that lasted up until a couple of weeks ago when Justin Jefferson signed that new deal with Minnesota. And that brings us to where we are right now. It brings us to the remaining mystery. What will happen with Brandon Ayuk? When will Brandon Ayuk sign his deal? Will a deal even get done? And we're all tired of this story. We're all hoping that Ayuk is going to be rocking that number 11 in the scarlet, red, and gold for years to come. But as of right now, a deal has not gotten done, and things are getting a little bit sticky with about 6 weeks to go until the start of training camp. Be sure to give me a follow on X. I'm approaching 13,000 followers. Give me a follow on Instagram, approaching 30,000 followers. I put out Niner updates. I put out a lot of short-form videos in addition to the long-form shows right here on the Niners Report on YouTube. Couple of super chats that we want to get to during that segment. Mac Daddy with the $5 super chat. Appreciate it, my guy. The only trade I would expect is Patrick Surtain and a 5th-round pick. See, I think the Niners are in a spot, and we'll expand on that during our mailbag, where they don't really have to trade for a corner, and they don't have to trade for a very expensive corner to be in Patrick Surtain. He could demand $20+ million per year, and I think the Niners are in a spot where they're really deep at the cornerback spot, and they're going to have to give Brock Purdy that deal, so you're going to have to be fiscally smart elsewhere in rounding out your roster. My boy Mark, words of wisdom, hope the family is doing well. The Valencias, Chase, read my long rant. If you send it to me on social media, I'll check that DM out, my guy. Hope you're good. It's in the comment section. What did he say, Chip?
So Word said, sorry, bro, I've been MIA from knee surgery. Anyways, on BA, I get he's trying to get the bag. Good for him. However, this is a business, not personal. You want to bounce, kick rocks. Lastly, those fans acting like BA going to share the bag, rooting for him to get paid. You are all chumps. Woo, that is...
Words of wisdom. He's never afraid to bring the heat. This is what I would say, right? I think that quality of life is important. I think working for a company or playing for a team that you enjoy being on, a company or a team that is successful, a company or a team that is set up for future success, that is very well run, it's a desirable spot. I love working here at Chat Sports. I get to talk about what I want to talk about every single day. They pay me very well. They take care of me. I have say here. I've helped build the company. It's been awesome to be a part of this. I don't want to leave. And there could be a great company out there that pays me more money to leave Chat Sports. But if it's a poorly run company, they don't have a history of success, and I don't have the same role there, my quality of life isn't the same, why would I leave? If Brandon Ayuk just wants to leave because he wants more money, I would tell him to be careful. You have a great relationship with Brock Purdy. You have a great offensive mind calling the plays and designing plays for you in Kyle Shanahan. You're on a great team. You've played in 3 straight NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl. On this team, you've developed into an All-Pro. They're offering you $26 million per year. If you want 28 to 30, I see where you're coming from. Can both sides meet in the middle at 28? If I'm Ayuk, I'd be elated at that. I'd be elated at that. That is generational wealth. You still get a lot of guaranteed money. The average annual value is there, but you're in a great football situation. So I would tell him to tread lightly. So we got those 2 Super Chats. We're up to 10 right now. All Super Chats get a shout out, as Words and Mac Daddy did. $10, we're giving you a beer cheers, 20 for 20 push-ups, 50 for a beer bong, 100 for a beer boot. Last week, we did $300. That's why we're doing a mean tweet segment here today. That's going to be segment number 4, so make sure you tune into that. More than 200 people watching live. We're so glad that you're spending your Tuesday with us. We're going to go live again, same time, same place on Thursday. But help us out right now by hitting that thumbs up icon, liking the video. We are 9 likes away from reaching 100. How quickly can we get there? Segment number 3 will be a mailbag. So use the hashtag 49ers. We're about to move on to segment number 2 and take a look at some teams that could be interested in trading for Brandon Ayuk. We'll get to that here in a second. Anthony Stewart saying, preach, Chase, preach. It's what I try to do, man. It's what I try to do. 2 likes away from 100. Once we get there, we'll move forward with segment number 2.
Who's going to get us there, baby? Come on.
Who's going to get us past that number?
1 away.
Recent commenter club, Anthony Stewart, Greg Stevens, Leon Sandcastle, Tom Garcia, Derek Hofkamp, Words of Wisdom, and Murdoch. All right, we're to 100 likes. So with that, let's get into segment number 2 right now, live on the 49ers Report. Coming your way on today's San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports, I'm Chase Senior. Thanks for hanging out here with us. We're going to bring you the latest on Brandon Ayuk, and also on top of that, the buzz on where he could get traded if the Niners decide to deal him and the 2 sides can't come to an agreement on a contract extension. First, I want to pop up today's poll question, and I want to hear from everybody. You're in this Niners front office. You're in the shoes of General Manager John Lynch. You're chopping it up with Kyle Shanahan, trying to decide what to do with Brandon Ayuk when you consider where this organization is, both with the roster and financially. What should the Niners do with Brandon Ayuk? Sign and pay or trade? You make the decision right now in the comment section. Obviously, on the Ayuk front, more drama has arrived. And more drama started when Brandon Ayuk was on TikTok having his girlfriend film him on FaceTime with Washington Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels, who the Commanders drafted with the second overall pick. He won the Heisman Trophy last year at LSU. Ayuk and Daniels played with one another at Arizona State when I was at the NFL Combine covering the event for the 49ers Report. And here at Chat Sports, Jaden Daniels talked about how he leans on Ayuk, and Ayuk really has helped him in the pre-draft process at the time in getting ready for what to expect at the National Football League level. And Ayuk is on TikTok with Daniels, who obviously they're very close friends, and he said to Daniels, "They don't want me back." Now, Ayuk put this out by design. It's not like he was filmed by somebody else in recording this. He put it out on his own TikTok page, and his girlfriend is heard in the background saying, "They got me filming this ish." So that started some of the drama. And where I kind of stand and how I reacted to it all, you think to what Ayuk said. They don't want me anymore. They don't want me back, I swear. I would be shocked if the Niners actually told Brandon Ayuk, "We as an organization don't want you here any longer. We don't want you back." Because Ayuk is a player who the San Francisco 49ers drafted 25th overall. Some people looked at it as a massive reach. The Niners, he was the best player on their board, and Kyle Shanahan was elated, pumped up when the Niners submitted that card to take Ayuk out of Arizona State. The Niners also identified a player who started his college career at the JUCO junior college level and then transferred to Arizona State. So there was a lot of development that had to take place there. Ayuk comes in year one, COVID year, no preseason games, limited training camp practices, and I know that the Niners were banged up and injured that year coming off the 2019 Super Bowl, but Ayuk still, even after he missed a couple of games, led the team in receiving yards as a rookie. Year two, expectations high for the first-round pick. He starts the year in the doghouse in 2021, but then he comes out of it, and down the stretch after the Niners started 3-5, he was a big component of that offense turning it around and then making it to the NFC Championship game. In 2022, another career year. In 2023, he develops into a second-team All-Pro and emerged as a top 10 wide receiver in the game. And Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have said multiple times, we want Brandon Ayuk as a part of our organization. We love him. And while Lynch and Shanahan have said we want him back, they probably want him back at a certain price. And the Niners as an organization also always want to win the PR game, right? They don't want to look bad in the public sphere. If these contract negotiations fall apart, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan can say, we've always loved Ayuk. We drafted him. We developed him. We've invested in him. We've used a lot of time in making him an all-pro type of player. But he became a little bit too expensive, so we had to walk away from that price. So John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan want Ayuk back, but at a certain price. And there's also a leverage game that comes into play here. From Ayuk's standpoint, Justin Jefferson, Minnesota Vikings wide receiver, just signed a record-breaking deal in which he got the most guaranteed money for a non-quarterback in the history of football, overtaking Nick Bosa's deal, and the most money per year for a non-quarterback in the history of the NFL at $35 million per year. So Ayuk can take that to the negotiating table and say, I might not be the player that Justin Jefferson is. I haven't put up the numbers that Justin Jefferson has been able to put up. That's fine. You don't have to give me $35 million per year, but you can give me $30 because Jefferson is a number one. I'm your number one. What are you going to do without me? From the Niners' angle, they can say, well, we drafted Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowing, and the Niners have some leverage here because they could say to Ayuk, you could play on your fifth-year option for $14 million, or you could take $26 million from us, and if you don't take that new deal, we'll franchise tag you after 2024 where you'll make money, but you won't have that long-term financial commitment from us. So will either side compromise? That's really the big mystery here. As for some Ayuk trade destinations, that's the next part of today's show. There are several teams who could show a lot of interest in Brandon Ayuk if the Niners do decide to deal him. So let's run through those teams right now. One team that immediately comes to the forefront is the Washington Commanders. Why the Commanders could make sense goes back to the TikTok. Brandon Ayuk is venting to Jane Daniels, telling him, they don't want me back. I swear. They played with one another at Arizona State. What would the Commanders like to do? Surround their young quarterback, who they took at number 2, with as many weapons as possible on his rookie contract. Kind of like what the Niners are doing right now with Brock Purdy. Like the Bengals did with Joe Burrow. Like the Eagles did with Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. Like the Rams did a few years ago with Jared Goff. Like the Seahawks did with the Legion of Boom defenses around Russell Wilson. The examples go on and on and on. There's also a connection between the two front offices here. Adam Peters was hired by John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan when they took over the Niners in 2017. He elevated up to assistant general manager. He was a huge part of their scouting department. Now, he's the Commanders' GM. The Commanders also have a lot of money in which they can pay Brandon Ayuk the deal that he might be seeking. Currently, Washington is equipped with $37 million in cap space. What I also want to throw out there is a receiver-for-receiver swap. Terry McLaurin is not the player that Brandon Ayuk is. He's a very good wide receiver. I don't think that he's a top 10 guy or bordering on being a top 10 guy like Ayuk. He's also cheaper than Brandon Ayuk. So if the Commanders call the 49ers about trading for BA, could you say, that's fine, we can give you Brandon Ayuk, you can pay him $30 million per year, we want Terry McLaurin back. And therefore the Niners don't have a massive gap in losing Ayuk for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. There's a step down from Ayuk to McLaurin, but not a huge gap. And they actually save a little bit of money because McLaurin has an average annual value of $22.7 million, and he's under contract for the next 2 years. The Niners could also elect to have the 31st overall pick, Ricky Pearsall, replace Ayuk. If the Niners love what they've seen from Pearsall and they're convinced that he can be a number 1 or a number 2 as early as this year, they could trade away BA, save a lot of money, and then Pearsall is the Ayuk replacement. Team number 2, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why the Steelers could make some sense. This is the team that's been linked to Ayuk the most this offseason. They're looking for another wide receiver after trading Deontay Johnson to the Panthers. They haven't replaced Deontay Johnson. Right now, they have Roman Wilson playing on the outside alongside George Pickens. Roman Wilson, I like him as a prospect. I think he's better as a slot guy. He's tiny. The Steelers also have $15.8 million in cap space. The Steelers would love to pair Ayuk with Pickens. There have been so many Steelers reporters throughout this offseason who have reported that Pittsburgh is looking at the Niners receiver situation. They've checked in on Debo. They've checked in on Ayuk. Pittsburgh also has some future picks. Their own first, second, and third in 2025. So they could give up the draft capital that could appease the Niners into making a move. And what happened earlier this offseason? Another Debo Samuel-like move. Brandon Ayuk, in addition to the TikTok on Monday, tweeted at Mike Tomlin and said, people are saying we look alike. And you wonder why we talk about Ayuk getting dealt. He's stirring up some of the drama, leading to me talking about it here on the show. Don't shoot the messenger. We are having an epic June sub-battle, by the way, between two rival teams in the NFC West and two rival teams inside the walls of Chat Sports. We are kicking the Seahawks' ass right now in this sub-battle here in June. I want to continue to add on to that number because I'm not content with just beating the Seahawks by a field goal. I want to win by 4 or 5 touchdowns. Since June 1, the Niners Report has picked up 304 new subscribers. Seahawks today, 148. Let's continue to celebrate that dub. This is also a dub. 2 shirts for the price of 1. 2 Niners shirts on sale right now for just $45, thanks to our friends at Fanatics. Get involved. Hop on that deal. Limited time only. Chatsports.com/49combo. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of this video. Team number 3 that can make a move for Ayuk. New England Patriots. The Patriots are in a spot right now where they are rebuilding. It's the post-Bill Belichick era. Gerard Mayo takes over as head coach. But New England is desperate for a number 1. Their number 1 right now, Jacoby Myers, no longer there, right? They haven't replaced him. So Kendrick Bourne is kind of their top guy. And New England has the most cap space in the National Football League. $45.6 million. That's the most in the NFL. The Patriots are in a spot very similar to the Commanders. Commanders took Jane Daniels at number 2. A couple of picks later, New England Patriots took Drake May out of UNC to be their new franchise quarterback. They signed Jacoby Brissett as the potential holdover plan, but you pair your young quarterback up with the number 1 weapon, and for the first time in a long time, because I don't really consider Jacoby Myers a number 1, the Patriots would have that number 1 wideout in Brandon Ayuk. They have the money to pay him. They have the picks to give up. Maybe a player to give up. Next team, Los Angeles Chargers. Lost Keenan Allen and Mike Williams this offseason. Receiving room a little bit thin for their franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert. Ayuk can be Herbert's number 1. Brandon Ayuk is the perfect Jim Harbaugh player. An all-around football player who's developed into a star, is physical, has confidence, has swagger, loves to block. And you know that Jim Harbaugh's going to try to run the football. Ayuk has no problem with that. The Chargers also have a lot of cap space, $21.4 million in cap room. They can afford Brandon Ayuk after getting rid of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Other teams who could be in the mix, and I want to pop up this graphic of the teams with the most cap space in the National Football League. We talked about the New England Patriots. We'll touch on the Detroit Lions coming up here in a second. They have $38.7 million in cap room, second most in the NFL. We discussed the Washington Commanders at $37 million. The Cardinals are an interesting team because Ayuk grew up in Arizona, went to Arizona State, and the Cardinals have $35.5 million. They drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. Can you imagine Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brandon Ayuk as the top 2 receivers on that team? I think the Niners would be idiotic to trade Ayuk inside the division. Ayuk's girlfriend and baby mama said after the year, we're going to the Las Vegas Raiders. One of Ayuk's best friends mentioned the Raiders as well, if I'm not mistaken. Raiders have $34 million. A lot of money to pay Ayuk. Niners sitting pretty there, 6th most cap space in the NFL, $32.7 million. Jacksonville Jaguars, that was a team that earlier this offseason had some traction. They lost Calvin Ridley. They have the money if they want to add another weapon for Trevor Lawrence, who they just gave a bag to, $28.6 million at their disposal. Green Bay Packers, $28.4 million. Minnesota Vikings, $26.2 million. And then the Indianapolis Colts, another team that I think is pretty interesting, where you could pair Brandon Ayuk up alongside Michael Pittman Jr. with Jonathan Taylor, and that's good offensive weaponry for the young quarterback with stupid potential and Anthony Richardson with an offensive-minded head coach in Shane Steichen. Furthermore, Daniel Jeremiah, NFL draft analyst and just a great NFL analyst in general for the NFL Network, did tweet this out on Monday. If Brandon Ayuk is truly available via trade, I don't know. I can make a strong argument Pittsburgh would be the perfect match for the reasons that I talked about earlier. And could I interest you in this? Brett Coleman is one of the OG content creators talking about the NFL on YouTube, and he tweeted this out on Monday night. I know Ayuk to the Commanders is the hot speculative trade, but what about this? Ayuk to Detroit for Jameson Williams and a pick. Jameson Williams has had some character issues so far with the Lions, but he's only 23 years old. He also had a gambling suspension in addition to getting in trouble for lighting off fireworks. But this is a player with unbelievable vertical speed. And finally, started to round into form in 2023, where he only played 12 games, 10 starts, did have 24 catches, 354 yards, for an average yards per catch of 14.8. And that's a player that you'd be looking at as having potential. You put him into a structured environment with San Francisco. You hope that he can get in line. And maybe he could become a really good player, and you get a pick on top of that. And it would make your wide receiver room very interesting. Then you'd have Debo, Juwan Jennings, Jamison Williams, Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing. A lot of good athletes there, and a lot of different wide receivers. So let's go back to our poll question from today's show. What should the Niners do with Brandon Ayuk? Sign and pay or trade him? Sound off with what you would do down below in the comment section. And as always, thanks for supporting us here on the show. Words of wisdom, $5 super chat. For sure agree with what you said, bro. I just laugh at people who root for him as if they got access to his bank account. You guys rock, bang, bang, Niner gang. Appreciate that words of wisdom. Always bringing the heat, oftentimes making us laugh, and always keeping it real. Here's our super chat menu. All super chats equal a shout out, $10 for a beer cheers, 20 for 20 push-ups, 50 for a beer bong. If we get to 100 in total, I will do a beer boot. We're at 15 right now, so some work to do, but I will do a beer boot if we get to $100 in total. We have our mailbag coming up, and then our mean tweet segment after that. You don't want to miss that. We're going to have a lot of laughs together. Last call to get involved in our mailbag. Chip, how we doing?
Yeah, we could use some questions here. So far, we got a couple, and a couple super chats as well, but plenty of opportunity here to get on the show. We could use a couple more. I've seen some people asking questions, but I can't get it on the show if you don't use the hashtag 49ers. So if you've asked a question already, ask it again. Use hashtag 49ers. We got one from Jermaine Minity, one from Trace Lucero. Those are the only two that we have in addition to our super chats. So if you've asked one, haven't used hashtag 49ers, ask it right now, and we'll get it answered on the show.
Nick Fury said, hello, ladies and gentlemen. What's shaking and baking? Nick Fury, good to see you back here, even though you're a Seahawks fan. Niners still own the Seahawks the last 2 years, but it's good to see you here, my guy. What do you think about Mike McDonald to Seattle taking over for Pete Carroll? Joseph Humphrey, sign and pay unless you get a crazy offer. Orlando saying pay. We could always do our mean tweet segment now and then our mailbag after that. But get those questions in now either way using the hashtag 49ers or sending in a super chat. If you don't want us to do a mailbag, we just won't. If we don't get enough questions, that's fine too.
Wet Noodle coming in with a question. Nick Fury with a question. Lot on BA, which makes sense. Ernesto with a question. Questions are coming in now, baby.
Yup. Ernesto, Nick, I see ya. Murdoch saying pay Ayuk. Zeke and Armando typing pay. A super chat allows you to skip the line too to get your questions answered first. We need a couple more probably to be safe.
I'd say one or two more.
One or two more questions on the Niners. I'm going to challenge you. Can you send in a question that doesn't have to do with Brandon Ayuk?
Yeah, we don't want too many of the same questions either, because then it's kind of like, well, everyone's asking about Ayuk.
Ant CEO said pay and let's win a damn Super Bowl. Amen, brother. Oh, man. Words of wisdom. How will Banana Hands blow the Super Bowl this year? Fire Kyle.
That's making the show.
Oh, boy.
That's making the show.
That just makes me think of the Andy Reid timeline. I mean, 14 years in Philadelphia, offensive guru, offensive mastermind, couldn't win the big one. Vlad said, I'd be salty if they traded BA because I bought a jersey last year. Will the Bosa brothers play on the Niners together at some point from Rob's Random Records? Good one right there.
I think we're good to go.
Ant CEO, are you going to sign a safety? Use hashtag 49ers because there are some really good safeties still available. Anthony Stewart asking about the Madden cover. See, I knew y'all would bring the heat. Let's go. So mailbag now, mean tweet segment after that. You don't want to miss the mean tweet segment. I guarantee you're going to laugh at that. So let's get our mailbag popping right now. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. I'm Chase Sr., and coming up, we're going to open up the floor for another mailbag segment. We're taking questions from all of the real ones, our subscribers, loyal viewers, loyal listeners of the San Francisco 49ers Report. It allows you to be a part of the show. You have questions, I have answers, so let's dive in. A lot of juicy topics to talk about pertaining to the San Francisco 49ers. And before we take your questions, your hot takes, your analysis, we're having a great June sub-battle between two rival teams in the NFC West and two rival channels under the Chat Sports umbrella inside the walls of this office. Seahawks Today, 49ers Report. The Niners have owned Seattle over the last couple of years, and that came after the Seahawks owned San Francisco for a long time, even during the Jim Harbaugh era and the Kyle Shanahan era. Right now, we're owning Seahawks Today since June 1. We've picked up 304 new subscribers. Seahawks Today at 148. Continue to hit that sub button. We put out shows and content every single day, long form, short form, and we aim for it to be as entertaining, insightful, informative, and thought-provoking as possible. So hit that sub button right now. All right, let's get our mailbag underway. First one coming in from Mac Daddy. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. The only trade I would expect is a trade for Patrick Surtain and a 5th-round pick. See, that is a juicy trade to talk about, right? Patrick Surtain is one of the top young corners in the NFL. The Denver Broncos are in this weird spot where they're rebuilding, and do you want to pay a young corner $20+ million per year? Does that really make a lot of sense for Denver's timeline? Because they're in a loaded NFC West. I don't expect them to be competitive. So what is the future of Patrick Surtain, a player who they have not signed to a long-term contract extension yet? Why I would say it's not going to happen for the Niners. Number one, they're very deep at the cornerback spot right now. They're also cost-friendly corners on this team. But then you also have decisions coming up in the future on Charvarius Mooney-Ward and Deomodore Lenoir. Do you want to keep those players as part of your organization? Do you want to pay for past performances for Charvarius Ward, knowing that he's going to be on the wrong side of 30, even though he was a second-team All-Pro last year? I would probably keep Deomodore Lenoir, but the asking price is going to be interesting, and it's also going to depend. Is he going to hit the market as an outside corner? Is he going to hit the market as a slot corner? Because slot corners make less money in free agency. He's given up 4 touchdowns in coverage in his first 3 years. So you have that situation. I like the depth at the cornerback spot for San Francisco right now. The Niners are in a spot where they have $32.7 million. That's top 10 in cap space in the NFL, 6th currently. But you're going to have to give up a lot for Surtain, maybe a 1st or 2nd round pick. And you're going to have to pay him $20+ million per year. So I just don't think that a Patrick Surtain trade is feasible there. But Mac Daddy, I like it. I like the thinking. Always got to be aggressive to win in this game. Jermaine Minity. It is frustrating that we go through this every year with our free agents. We wait so long, and the market always gets reset. We have the cap space to get the deal done. I agree. And other teams don't operate in this way that the Niners operate. They take care of their homegrown players, and they dish out these contract extensions early. Why do they do that early? They get ahead of the market exploding. They get ahead of the competition. They pay their own players knowing that if they wait, they risk the price tag increasing, because look at what's happened at the wide receiver spot this offseason alone. My first Brandon Ayuk contract projection had him making $25.5 million per year. That would have been fourth in the NFL just back in April. Now, if the Niners were to give Ayuk that deal, it would be eighth. You had Calvin Ridley get paid. That reset the market because Ayuk's better, and Ridley got $23+ million per year. I think 25.5 at the start of the offseason would have gotten it done. You could have gone to Ayuk and said, you're the fourth highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. You're also our number one, and now you're making more than Deebo Samuel. But then what happened after that? You had Calvin Ridley get a bag. A.J. Brown got $32 million. Devontae Smith, $25. Jalen Waddle, right around 28. Amon-Ra St. Brown, right around 30. Justin Jefferson, 35. So in waiting, the market has exploded not once, not twice, multiple times, and in turn, Ayuk's price tag has gone up. Where if they paid him to start the offseason, they could have gotten him at 25, 26, let's call it that. Now, I think the market and the demand from Ayuk is 28 to 30. So I hear you. The Niners have operated on we've always done it this way, so why change? Why change? Because now you might lose a special player because you waited, because you've always done something the same way. In business, especially in high leverage business like the NFL, you got to adapt and evolve. Can't always do things the way that you've always done them. Ernesto Ojeda, if the Niners actually trade Ayuk away, would Ricky Pearsall be the next wide receiver one, or will he have to prove it in training camp? No way that he would be wide receiver one for this Niners team. Deebo Samuel would be the number one wideout. You'd have Juwan Jennings as probably your number two, and Ricky Pearsall is your number three. And if Pearsall is your number two, I worry about that. I don't think he's an outside guy. I think he's a slot. And he's not going to play slot because Juwan Jennings has to play the slot. So you'd have Ayuk gone, Deebo, Pearsall on the outside, with Juwan Jennings as your three. And then that battle for wide receiver 4 would be between Jacob Cowing, Ronnie Bell, Danny Gray. I just don't know why you would take a step back and risk your offense being worse when you had the number one offense in the NFL last year and you're still in this Super Bowl window with the quarterback on his rookie deal. You got to take advantage of this timeline here in 2024. Have to. Can't squander it. Barry Z. Is this Barry Zito? San Francisco Giants legend? Not really. More of an A's legend. What are the chances of getting Justin Simmons? I love Talanoa Hufanga, but not sure how long he will be out. Hufanga did say he's not going to rush his rehab. There's no reason to rush his rehab. He did get hurt well into the 2023 campaign. I think that the chances of signing Justin Simmons still pretty good. The Niners are a little bit thin at that safety spot. They have Jair Brown, Talanoa Hufanga as the projected starters. And then after that, George Odom, Malik Mustafa, and then other players who probably aren't going to make the team. You sign Justin Simmons, you can still find a way to get 3 safeties on the field, get creative with how you use them. He's a 4-time All-Pro in this league. He's led the NFL in interceptions since coming into the league in 2016. Still playing at an elite level. He was an All-Pro last year. Good ball hawk. Fits your scheme as that deep center field safety who could play the pass very well and be that deep coverage safety. And Hufanga is a player coming off the ACL, contract year. You're not sure how he's going to look coming off that injury. How much is going to cost looking ahead into the future? Rob's Random Records. Will the Bosa brothers play on the Niners together at some point? Look, Joey Bosa said, I think that'd be cool to play with my brother at some point. That would involve him playing for the San Francisco 49ers because Nick Bosa signed that massive, at the time, record-setting deal right before the season opener last year. Gives him $34 million per season. Second most average annual value and guaranteed money for a non-quarterback in the history of football, behind Justin Jefferson. Now, Joey Bosa is under contract the next 2 years, but the contract was restructured going into this year because the Chargers had to open up some cap space, and he could pretty much be released and let go after 2024, making him a free agent. It'd be a fun story. I worry about Bosa's injury history because he's been banged up. He's played, I think, 14 games the last 2 years, and he'd have to come to the Niners making far less than what he was making with the Chargers. But if you want to play with your brother, you've already made a lot of money. You're going to have to make a sacrifice if you want to make that dream a reality. Anthony Stewart, how about Christian McCaffrey on the cover of Madden? Let's go, baby. Clean cover. The deluxe edition has him running away from the Las Vegas Raiders. That's always a good touch. And what's cool is that EA Sports did that by design because McCaffrey's in a red uniform and the Raiders are in a white uniform. McCaffrey's never played the Raiders while wearing a scarlet red uni. So it's kind of a shot at the Raiders, and I always love that. They were never faithful to the Bay. Niners, always faithful to the Bay. And McCaffrey earned it. Offensive Player of the Year last year. Niners Offensive MVP the last 2 years. He's a very marketable player. Best running back in the NFL. A guy who can do it all. And I think what's underrated, pop culturally, he's well known. He's about to get married to Olivia Culpo if they haven't gotten married already. So obviously Olivia Culpo fans aren't going to be like, oh, Christian McCaffrey's on the cover, I'm going to buy it for myself. But Olivia Culpo fans who are dating or married to a man who loves Christian McCaffrey or the Niners, they could get the game for him. So it works out for EA Sports. Words of wisdom. Question. Chase. Chet. With the non-calls on our defensive linemen, that seems to be a theme. Will defensive line be something we don't focus money on moving forward? Instead, direct that toward the secondary. Look at what the Niners did this offseason. You know, they released Eric Armstead. They got a cheaper, more durable, and more productive player in Malik to come in. And then they signed Leonard Floyd and Yetur Gross-Matos. They gave out a big bag to Javon Hargrave last year in free agency. I think that defensive line is always going to be a staple of the team-building strategy for the Niners. But yeah, you're right. I don't think they lost to the Chiefs because of the non-calls, but it certainly didn't help. They got after Patrick Mahomes in the first half. In the second half, they did not at all. But I think defensive line is a smart team-building strategy, and I think it's one the Niners are going to continue to follow. Another reminder, subscribe to the show so that you can be a part of our mailbags, and you can tune into the 49ers Report and not miss our content. Hit that bell icon, turn on those notices. Therefore, whenever we go live, whenever we push out a show, you will be notified. All right, coming up next, Mean Tweets segment. Who's ready for Mean Tweets? Type me.
Mean tweets, mean tweets, mean tweets.
Who's ready for Mean Tweets? Who's ready to share a laugh? Type me. Words of wisdom, Ken Dowsland. You'll kind of just hear from me and producer Chip. We'll pop them all up, we'll read them, and we'll react together.
I wonder if out of the 180 people watching, any of them are in the show.
Yeah, I wonder.
That'd be great.
I wonder. Yeah, it's a mixture of comments from Twitter, now known as X, Instagram, and I don't know if there are any from YouTube. Instagram and Twitter. Anthony, Ernesto, Richard Deere, Ken Dowsland, Words of Wisdom. You're all ready. All right, let's do it. Mean Tweets, segment number 4, coming up here on the San Francisco 49ers Report. Some good stuff to run through here. And there are stories behind these tweets as well that we're going to share. All right, here we go. Coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports, the much anticipated segment, Mean Tweets, taking a look at some of the funniest, most ruthless tweets and comments that I have received on X and Instagram. And before we get started, I want to say thank you to everybody for your continued support of us here on the San Francisco 49ers Report, because we're doing this segment because during our live show last week, made a deal with the audience. I said, if we surpass $300 in Super Chats, I'm going to take the time, look back at some of the funny tweets and messages that I've gotten on X and Instagram, and we're going to turn it into a segment. And if you want to give me a follow on X and IG, you can find me there on both platforms at Chase_Senior. The handle is the same on both platforms. I'm approaching 13,000 followers on X, nearly 30,000 followers on Instagram. We start off with this tweet coming in from Pretty Things 10. And there's a funny backstory here because Pretty Things 10 is a porn star. And she said, this bug-eye motherfucker continues to make shit up for clicks. Not one thing he's ever said has ever come true. You would think with his eyes like that, he could see facts. Now, what's funny about this person is that, yes, she is a social media online porn star. You take a look at the bio, good girl by day, sex-craved MILF by night. And her banner photo, she likes anal. All deliveries to the back door. Now, shout out to her for having nearly 90,000 followers on X. She just does not like me because there's another one that we want to get to. She responded to this tweet from This Is the Way Roscoe's. I think he claims to be a Niners content creator. Back in May, he put out this tweet saying, content casuals, Grant Cohn, casual, Ryan Hensley, clout chaser, Chase Senior, just wrong, David Lecture, teacher, Jose Sanchez, Raiders fan. Now, Grant, Ryan, and Jose, all friends of the show. So we all got called out, and I responded to this tweet saying, it's always great hearing from my fans. And then Roscoe's responded by saying, I don't even follow you. He didn't get the joke. But then Pretty Things, our girl, our beloved porn star here on the Niners Report, responded to that by saying, the first three are god-awful. Grant is a Trey Lance dick rider. Hensley is the president of the Lance Dick Rider Club. It's funny for her to say that. Also, a solar panel salesman in real life, should stick to that. And Chase's eyes bother me. I can't pay attention to his opinions when he looks at us like that. So clearly, Pretty Things 10 does not like my eyes. That is a consistent theme. A lot of people pick on my eyes, can't do anything about it. It's just how I look. But at least I'm not a porn star. Dick Soliloquy at What the Frick Damn. Chase, with all due respect, you are a massive loser. Chip, I like how he at least said, with all due respect, you're a massive loser.
Yeah, he wanted to set the ground rules here. He wasn't coming at you, but was calling you a loser. I'll tell you what. I doubt this is his real name, but Dick Soliloquy. Are we being serious right now? Are we being serious? You're the one calling Chase a loser. With all due respect, though, with all due respect, I don't like your Twitter handle, my guy.
Going back to the first couple of tweets, are you going to make a delivery at the back door for our girl?
I think I'm going to stay away from that for right now. That back door has probably seen quite a lot of deliveries. I will say this. I imagine her business right now ain't going too well if she's out here, trying to garner some attention in your replies on X. So maybe she should focus on herself and what she's got going on before she starts coming at you.
What also cracks me up about all these profiles is that these people say these types of things, yet they don't have a real picture of themselves. And it's basically a burner account, and they stand behind these usernames, which obviously don't reveal their real names. And then the usernames in general crack me up. Like, this guy claims to be a college professor. I highly doubt that. Next one coming in from Halo Reach _player 69. You always like when the number 69 is a part of the username. And he said this on Instagram, bro meat rides the Brandon Ayuk and Debo trade possibility. Look, as the host of the 49ers Report, I create content on the Niners every single day. So if Brandon Ayuk and Debo Samuel are involved in trade discussions, it's my job to talk about it. Some of the biggest stories in the NFL. It's also the offseason. We don't have games to talk about. So I guess according to Halo Reach, I'm meat riding those stories. Mikey McGuffin. Dude, you're a boner. Short and sweet, Chip.
I mean, come on. That's the best you got, Mikey McGuffin? Dude, you're a boner? You couldn't think a little outside the box? You're getting a little creative, that's it? You're a boner? What does that even mean?
Yeah, what's funny is that I went into December with 3,000 followers on Instagram. And then during the Niners' late season, regular season push into the playoffs to the Super Bowl, I grew my Instagram to like 25,000 followers. So my Instagram was taken off to historic levels. And a lot of people were loving the content. Most of the people love the content. But the ones that kind of stand out are the funny comments and the negative comments, which are in the minority. This guy would comment a lot, things like this. And then sometimes things get a little bit too personal. Ethan, with the turtle emoji in his username on Instagram, slid up to a story that I had, and it was a photo of my mom who passed away back in 2018. And I just don't understand where these people come from. It's sad that they live such negative lives, but he said, "Fuck that fat bitch, ugly ass hoe. You're going to say that about my mom who passed away? That's crazy." So I responded by saying, "You're really going to say that about my deceased mom? Get some help." And then he said, "Sorry, King. Thanks for the apology, I guess."
I mean, no. This Ethan guy right here, two of the qualities that I think are some of the biggest red flags in people and that I hate the most. Not only are you going to come after his mom, right? That's like, you don't do that. But then I hate the people on social media, because people do this all the time, come out, say something to someone, they get something back, "Oh, my bad, oh, I'm sorry." Like, come on, bro. Like, "Oh, sorry, King, I was messing around." Like, and sorry, King?
Sorry,
Ethan, King. Demonstrating two of the worst qualities I can imagine in a person.
Wild. All right, Dino717. Any way to stop wearing your sister's glasses? So sometimes on the show, if my eye allergies are acting up, or I'm feeling tired, a little bit hungover, or I just want another look, I'll wear like the clear glasses, which, by the way, are trendy. They're in. But Dino, he doesn't like them. I've gotten some stop wearing your grandma's glasses for Dino. Any way to stop wearing your sister's glasses? Max Wood, bro, you look like you haven't slept in weeks. Again, another one of the consistent critiques of how I look is that sometimes I have tired eyes. Some people have said you look like Aaron Rodgers, similar eyes. Pete Davidson is another one. And then who's the guy from Half Baked? Jim Brewer. That's another popular celebrity lookalike. J.R. Bridges. This is just getting reckless and irresponsible at this point. People follow you for real information, not this BS. Voluntary workouts, getting married in a week, 2 straight years, going deep into the playoffs and leading the league in touches. Go full-time Eagles if you're going to keep this horse shit up. What's funny about this is that this was on a comment responding to me advocating for Christian McCaffrey getting paid because, as J.R. Bridges said, he did lead the NFL in touches last year, so he deserves some more cash. So I was pro player here, and people ripped me for bringing that conversation to the forefront. Chip, what happens a couple of weeks later? Christian McCaffrey resets the running back market, and he gets paid once again.
I will say, people always, in the comments, a constant theme, "You don't know what you're talking about, this and that." You're ahead of a lot of things. And this McCaffrey situation in particular, it didn't make any sense to me. Because you weren't like, McCaffrey wants more money, Niners got to get rid of him. Yeah. What is McCaffrey doing? You were like, McCaffrey's been awesome. He probably wants some more money.
No guaranteed money left on the deal.
We should pay him. And then everyone's, and then guess what? He got more guaranteed money. So maybe these people, instead of complaining and coming at you, should lock in and tap in and see the vision, because they're not seeing it.
Getting reckless and irresponsible, too, is funny, because I've reported on some news, but also as the host of the 49ers Report, I share opinions, I share my analysis, and I do have bold opinions, and some people take my commentaries, when I'm commenting on other reports as me reporting things, and we'll get to that, calling it reckless and irresponsible is hilarious. I can't share an opinion. And then obviously people get fired up about me also covering the Philadelphia Eagles. Going back to the celebrity lookalikes, I've also gotten Christian McCaffrey. This one from a Mancini, you're an older Brock Purdy. And then 2X Adrian, Cooper DeJean looking old. I'm not sure if this is just a white boy comp. It could easily be a white boy comp.
To me, it seems like a lot of the comps you get are just white NFL players all the time. Cooper DeJean, Brock Purdy, Reed Blank, and shit. Like they just go down the list.
It's like
get creative.
Ricky Pearsall. He reminds me of Cooper Kupp and Adam Thielen. White guys. Obviously easy to compare me to some white guys out there, but I do appreciate the compliment, if that's a compliment. Let's go to this one, because this goes back to me passing along information to my followers, informing the viewers of the show and the followers that I have on social media. It's my duty to pass along news, because part of my job is to inform the viewer, the listener, the subscriber, the fan. So clearly here, in this post, and this was a video commentary, I referenced other reports being made by Pittsburgh Steelers reporters who referenced sources inside the Steelers building. And I think that's pretty clear with how I phrased this tweet. Reports. It's not me saying, according to sources. I'm reporting. I'm not reporting anything. I'm just passing along the information. Reports. The Pittsburgh Steelers are aggressively pursuing a Brandon Ayuk trade, and the Steelers would be, quote, surprised if they don't land Ayuk. Of note, this is just information. Pittsburgh has the 20th overall pick. The Niners could look at that as equal value for Ayuk if they can't get a deal done. Then the Niners could draft an offensive lineman, a huge need, and a wide receiver to replace Ayuk early in the draft. That's clearly me referencing the report and then passing along some of my own information. This caused quite the stir on social media. I think this post got like 500,000 views on X or something, because Brandon Ayuk's agent quote tweets it, and he's thinking that I'm reporting it. He said, another report that couldn't be more incorrect. Fictional journalism should really stop. That's funny, because people took that as Ryan Williams dunking on me. I think he kind of dunked on himself, because he didn't go straight to the source. He could have quote tweeted the actual report. He quote tweeted my commentary. So then the replies are epic. Serious question. Where did this tool bag come from? Go away. You want Ayuk traded so bad to fit your narrative or clickbait. That one coming in from Oz. You have Jay Parlay. You and Legend Sports 7 keep getting cooked by his agent. Keep getting cooked. I didn't know that one quote tweet was getting cooked, but hey, that's your view. It's the greatest thing ever. This is great, Chip. You clickbait engagement farmer journalist. You're a step below the porn bots.
A step below.
Step below.
Step below.
Yeah.
That's why they're the ones that are in Chase's comments trying to talk all this mess.
Yeah.
And some of this stuff doesn't make any sense to me. The guy who was like, you want Ayuk to be traded. What is, like, Chase doesn't come out and say, I want Ayuk gone. Let me get him out of here. Do these people, like, it's just the internet. I understand it. People just see something, they run with it. But no one looks in this stuff. No one thinks, man. They just get on Twitter, get on X, and they go, and they type away.
Type. And then Nick, 49ers Inquirer, this is just irresponsible. You should be named Chase Jr. Good one. Got him. Ty, Sparty. If you have to say like and subscribe, you're not a journalist. You're a sports fan with the YouTube. An ill-informed fan at that. See, I don't say like and subscribe, but on the videos, I will say, if you want Niners updates every single day, give me a follow and subscribe. It's almost like having followers and gaining subscribers is very important to what we do as a business. And I think it's kind of worked. You know, I'm approaching 30,000 followers on Instagram, 13,000 on X. And here on the Niners Report, we're the largest independently run Niners channel right here on YouTube. Clearly, Ty, Chip, he doesn't know ball. He doesn't know the game.
I mean, I would just tell these people, and tell Ty in particular, if you're watching, Ty, an ill-informed fan, you're calling Chase, well, For an ill-informed fan, I think he's doing pretty well with over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube and thousands of followers on social media. If he's an ill-informed fan, what are you, Ty? What are you?
And again, what's the consistent theme with the profile pictures here? Not real profiles. Like, people don't have their actual images here. And I'm an advocate for free speech, of course, but it's like, stand on business. You know what I'm saying? Nat Cone making up shit for Twitter engagement is pretty pathetic. I've never really made anything up. In fact, I've never made anything up. Again, when there's a rumor, when there's a report, I'll talk about it for sure. I've reported stuff. I've been ahead of the game. I've had the foresight to predict things before they happen. The receipts are certainly there. Pearsall season. I don't like your voice. I've never really gotten that before. I've gotten compliments on my voice, broadcaster stuff, I guess. Chip, do you like my voice?
It's all right. I think I can deal with it from day to day.
You have to listen to me a lot.
Yeah, so maybe I've gotten used to it. Unbelievable. Got him.
Miguel Vasquez. Hey, Chase, how does it feel to have been dunked on like this by Ayuk's agent? I caught a lot of strays from Ayuk's agent quote tweeting me. I don't know if I got dunked on, though. And then JPS Carriot. Bro must not have been invited to the wedding with all these Christian McCaffrey posts. Again, I had said Christian McCaffrey has no guaranteed money left on his deal. Look, he should ask for guaranteed money. What happens? 2 weeks later, $38 million contract extension. And Christian, if you do want to invite me to your wedding, I'm down to go. I know it's in Rhode Island. I'll fly there. If you give me the invite, some people have said we look alike. I interviewed you at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Friend of the show. You've been on the show. I'm down to go. Kind of a celebrity who could go there. But when I am right, some people are nice in the comment section as well. And they admit that they were wrong. And they apologize. The kid's dad, no lies. Please accept my apologies. Thank you. Cisco. I remember you posting this the other day, and everyone is basically calling you a clown. Shaking my head. Give this hard working man some credit. Appreciate that. And then the money lizard. See, you get the compliments, and some people are like, hey, you were right. You were ahead of the game. But then you get something like this. Don't break your arm patting yourself on the back, buddy. Arms are good. Arms are good. We're good out here. All right, a fun segment here on the show. Mean tweets here on the San Francisco 49ers Report. You're going to give me a follow on X, Instagram. You want to say something mean to me, you never know. We might be able to do this again at Chase_Senior. Thanks for watching, being part of the show. And as always, whether you love me or you hate me, thanks for tuning in. All right, a couple of super chats to get to before we hop on out of here. I saw John Wallace send in a 10. Going to give him a beer cheers. Reach down to the table here.
You know what they say, Chase? The legend, what's the bowling legend? Pete Weber, is that his name? Whether you love me or hate me, you're always watching. That's all you can do is
Who
watch.
do you think you are? I am! Johnny Dubs, Bang Bang Niner Gang, Niner for life since 78. What up, fam? Chat Sports family. Sign Ayuk, Chase, you're too good at your job. God bless. My man, I appreciate that. Here's a cheers for you.
I love this from Words. I just saw this when we were going through the mean tweets. The person who was like, you're just a step down from these porn bots or whatever. Word said a step below, but with nicer nipples.
Nicer nipples. Words of wisdom, Chase. Come to my 50th in Las Vegas, September 12th. You know what is not good about that, Words? And I know that I told you that I'd get back to you on that. It's right in between Jets, Vikings. And it just conflicts with the NFL schedule. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make it. But I did tell you that I would try to FaceTime you, although I'm not sure you have an iPhone, do you? We'll figure something out. We'll honor you on the Niners Report at the very least. All right. We're going to sign off. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. 4 segments, including a fun one, mean tweets here on the show. Thanks to everybody for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, sending in some super chats. We'll be live once again on Thursday, same time, same place, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. For Chip, I'm Chase. The Niners Report gang is out. And for the Bang Bang Niner gang, we'll see you next time. Peace.